Shannon Gilmore, and you are watching Positively Spiritual. This is your healing hub to find, the facts on psychology, on quantum science, and the Bible, because we are Bible believing Christian, Christ fearing individuals. Let me say that again. We are Bible believing, Christ fearing individuals on this channel. We don't hold a denomination. Of course, you guys we're all coming from different walks of life, different denominations, and we're not here to judge. We're just here to come together with the Word of God. Hi, Jerry. Nice to see you. Welcome. So we're here with the Word of God. We're here coming together with a meeting of the minds, meeting of the hearts to try to understand the grips of reality. Hello, James. Nice to see you. I am a peer support mentor, and I started out just when I was 16 years old, just supporting my friends, just giving a listening ear. And I went through training at school. Yeah, in high school, I went through training as the government of Alberta in Canada was training students to listen effectively and, just to be the support for people. And I've taken that into my everyday life, and this is who I am, what I do. But when I started this, I didn't think it was going to lead to this. I didn't think that we would be here, that I would be here with you guys. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for, believing in this platform, believing in Jesus first and foremost, and believing that you can heal because you can. And back when I was 16 years old, I knew that God existed, but I didn't follow Jesus. We didn't pray in our family. We didn't, I got sick and it was left up to the doctors whether they saved me from my asthma attack or not. So now I'm here, and this has evolved. This channel even started way back in 2008. This channel has evolved, and I had no idea. I thought we were just going to talk about narcissism for the rest of it, the rest of our lives, but no. We talk about narcissism to understand it, to heal from it, to unpack exactly what it is so that we can take a look at ourselves, because this life is about understanding who you are. And how you understand yourself is to first understand who you are not by looking at yourself as who you are, playing the role of. Hello, Diane. Hello, Jeanette. Hello, Robert. Hello, James. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see you. Hi, Jerry. It's nice to see everyone here. So today we're going to talk about the ego, as this is something that needs to be understood. Not many of us understand. The psychology says, ego is a construct, and it's a part of our self-awareness. But the reality is the ego is, the characteristics of the enemy. This may not make sense to you if you are new to this channel, so please go slow. Maybe this video isn't the right one for you at this time, but that's okay. There will be a right time for this video, so go geek out on the other videos. But if you do stick with us through this video, I've got some 7 spiritual steps to your deep self-awareness, to gaining deep self-awareness. So stick around to the end of the video. Now, the ego is a personality trait, the characteristics of the enemy who fell. What that fall means is that he disobeyed God and he chose not to follow God. And because the enemy and his angels decided that they didn't want to stay in heaven anymore. Well, they lost the characteristic traits of unconditional love, and that morphed into the characteristic traits that we are living out in this world today. Feelings of abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, feelings of fear, jealousy, rage, all these negative thoughts and feelings that we are feeling, they are of the ego. There is only two ways to live. And against what psychology and other people have taught us, we can't go our own way. Either you're on fire for God or you're on fire for the enemy, or you're neutral. You're neutral and haven't chosen sides. And what does God say? Jesus says, you are neither hot nor cold, and I will spit you out of my mouth. So you're still not counted as worthy if you're not on fire for Christ. So understanding the ego helps us to let go of the ego, as it helps us to put things in proper perspective. And that's what we're trying to do on this channel, is to try to put things in proper perspective so that you yourself can go the distance in your own walk, in your faith, and in your quote unquote healing. I thought it was healing. We are healing of our egos, but really no, we're just detaching ourselves from our egos, as we are detaching ourselves from the enemy characteristics to adopt a Christ-like character. And the Christ-like character is unconditional love. And love is what makes the world go round. Well, our world, not the world that we're supposed to come up out of. Excuse me. So today's video is Awakening the True Self, 7 Spiritual Steps to Deep Self-Awareness. Now, we've talked about how do you become self-aware. Well, you do some breathing exercises. You know, you just breathe in for the count of 4 and exhale for the count of 4 slowly. You know, it's a measured breath. You take an inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this breathing technique is nothing new. It's not woo-woo. It actually is scientific, and it is proven to disengage the logical thinking mind. That's the left brain hemisphere where ego attaches itself. So, with that said, becoming self-aware is extremely important. And when you are self-aware, you're aware of your environment. You're aware of the goings-ons around you. Does that make sense? You're aware of the happenings around you, and you're aware of the people around you. You're aware of what steps you're taking. You're aware of what your body feels in that moment of now. You're aware of what you're thinking. You're aware of what you're feeling. And not only that, you're dealing with it. You're not pushing it away and saying, oh, no, you're letting those feelings well up and saying, okay, I feel that. But self-awareness does not attach to those feelings. You're a silent observer of those feelings. So, the ego, we're going to talk about the ego just for a bit, because the ego, it builds trust impulsively. And this is why it's difficult to become self-aware, because we have had this ego built within us from the beginning stages of our being. When we were born, you know, we cried to be fed, to be held, to be warm. You know, we cried to let somebody know that, hey, we need help here. And it was our parents who were responsible to interpret our cries. and meet our needs. And as we grew, we became a little bit more independent and we could do things on our own. We could sit up, we could walk, we could feed ourselves, we could put on our own socks, we could pet the cat without, mommy and daddy overseeing us, and don't pull the cat's tail, don't bite the cat's ear. So we became a little bit self-aware, but we still identified with our parents, with our caregivers, the people who were around us. And it is through them that our egoic nature was formed. Now, God says the natural tendencies of man are against God, and psychology says that narcissism comes from childhood. And so, yeah, we are born with these natural tendencies to live against God, but they're not, they're there, but we don't bring them out. We have to have some sort of influence that brings out these natural tendencies. And the negative influences from our parents and caregivers and people who were in positions of power, and our siblings and, friends, their negativity or negative situations brought out the negativity that was dormant within us. And so if we've had more negative experiences than positive ones, that becomes the familiar way of things. This is the familiar spirit that God talks about. And what is familiar to us, we will gravitate to. And what is familiar to us will gravitate to us. It's reaping and sowing and sowing and reaping. So our parents were impulsive in their egoic nature when we were growing up. And just like how a baby chicken or a goose or a duck, it's newly hatched, it imprints itself on the first thing it sees, the first human or animal it sees. Well, that's like us. We have been habituated to adopt and live as our parents' feelings. So our reactions to things weren't necessarily our reactions. We filtered our awareness through what felt familiar. Our parents, cried when something was upsetting to them, so we cry. Our parents scowled when something was, bad for them, so we scowl. We learned by mimicry. We didn't necessarily know the intentions of what our parents were expressing. And so that's how our ego was made alive in us, where it came out of dormancy, because our lives are a series of choices. We can choose to act this way or choose to act this way, choose to think this or choose to think that, choose to respond this way or choose to respond that way. And let's face it, we were emotionally immature when we were obviously kids, but even when we left the nest, when we left our parents' home, some of us were still emotionally immature. I mean, do our parents tell us stranger danger of adults? No, we learn stranger danger that adults hurt children, but nowhere are we told that, when we go off to college, when we go and get married, when we go off to school, when we go off to find those jobs and move across country away from home, our parents don't tell us, be careful, son or daughter. There's people out there who are in adult form and they want to hurt you. They want to take your money. They want to take your body. They want to take your life. They want to take your, what you've got. They want to steal from you. So be careful. We don't get those kinds of teachings. And we get them when we're little, but as we grow up, we forget stranger danger. And see, nobody is recognizing that there's stranger danger within us. The stranger is the egoic nature, and it's dangerous to us. And nobody has taught us that. We learn this really late in our lives. And so let's just talk about this, because the ego builds trust in us impulsively through emotion rather than evidence. It pushes us to trust because of how someone makes us feel in the moment. Excitement, validation, connection. But that's not God's way. That is not God's way. This is confusing, but God is unconditional love. And so our response to things, to outside stimuli, whether it's a situation or person, is unconditional love. No matter what happens to you, unconditional love. No matter what force is to be reckoned with on the outside of you, unconditional love. Because where there is love, there is no fear. But ego has this impulsivity about it. As soon as something appears to be familiar of what we've experienced before in our childhood, and it doesn't matter if we have memory of it or not, the imprinting, the emotional imprinting is there. And so when we're adult, away from our parents, we think we're experiencing a new situation. But this is what God, King Solomon says, where there's nothing new under the sun. What comes around, what goes, comes around again. And this is it. This is recycled situations that may be different, but it's evoking the same emotion in us. It's coming with the same vibration. So maybe in our toddler years, we had to go to daycare and we had this separation anxiety and we felt that deeply. And that's the first time we ever felt separation anxiety, and that hurt us to the core. But that separation anxiety is bringing out the characteristics of the enemy of feeling separated from God. Yeah, but nobody tells us that. We're not aware of that. So this separation anxiety, this encounter with being looked after by strangers, it gets filtered as a bad experience, an unwanted experience, and we react to it. And we cry, we feel sad, we watch for the door. Every time the door opens at daycare, is that mommy and daddy picking me up? We watch through the window, watching their car to pull up. We watch intently. And so that gets filtered into our subconscious, and, day after day is like, you as a kid have to go to daycare 5 days a week. So out of those 5 days, that gets imprinted on you. And what does that slowly do to you? When you are attached to your parents and they leave, come back, leave, come back, leave, come back, parents may think, oh, they'll get over this separation anxiety. They'll get over it. Yeah, we get over it, but it's not a healing get over. You don't heal from these negative feelings. Like you become desensitized to the pain. That's what happens. You don't get over it. You become desensitized to the pain as you become detached to love. Because loving my parents hurts me. So I'm going to detach myself from them. And now it doesn't hurt me anymore. Because now I think that they don't love me, because if they loved me, they wouldn't put me in with strangers. And so that gets filtered into your subconscious as a familiar pattern. So when the narcissist comes along, see, we're already primed for their detachment. And it hurts because we think, finally, somebody that we can attach ourselves to, somebody who won't leave. This is unconditional love. This is what love is supposed to feel like. This feels so good. And then when the familiar pattern comes along again, we start to feel that ache. We start to feel that separation and anxiety. Hi, Frederick. How you doing? Nice to see you. So what we are going through in childhood, we bring into our adulthood through an energetic pattern called frequency. And it's imprinted on our subconscious. We don't know that we're emanating this frequency, but it becomes our baseline where it's attracting people and situations to us that are familiar. And the ego loves this because it causes us to react impulsively to people and situations that are familiar, that evoke the panic, that evoke the strife, that evoke this abandonment feeling, that evokes this feeling of unworthiness. And this is the evidence of bringing stuff familiar. Well, it's familiar. It was in my past. It was in my childhood. So therefore it must be right. That's what we subconsciously believe this. We subconsciously allow this to happen. And this is the patterning that God says, train the child up in the ways that they will go. And when they're older, they'll never leave it. Well, our brethren in biblical times didn't have the scientific knowledge. We do today, so we can change. If we really want to, we can change this with God's help. And that's what we're doing on this channel. So the ego needs our impulsivity, where we just automatically react to emotion rather than looking for evidence. See, the science says today that, okay, your emotions that you're feeling right now, you may feel them in real time. You may think that they are new, but they're not. They are patterns of your past. And so we get to ask ourselves, whenever we're triggered, whenever we're feeling sad, alone, abandoned, afraid, unworthy, we can ask ourselves, wait a minute, is this my feeling? Does this originate with me, or does it originate with someone else? And it originates with somebody else. It originates with the person that you were in your past. You're no longer a 2 or 5-year-old, are you? You've grown up, so you're not that same person. So it's unfair for us to sit there and live in the past when we are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years old. We can't get that person back, nor do we want that person back. Because to be that person again that was traumatized, that was raised up on that negative imprinting, you have to forego all the knowledge that you have. So it's important to use the knowledge that you have right now, this understanding, this maturity, and look at those feelings and ask yourself, are these feelings of my past, or are they feelings from real time? Like, where are they coming from? Your emotions that you have evoke, that, okay, the emotions that are evoked out of you in real time, they always come from your past. So they're not you. You can choose differently. But the ego needs evidence. And the ego has blinded us to think that, oh, because the narcissist in my life right now, or somebody in my life right now, is leaving me, is detaching their feelings from me, has cheated on me, has discarded me, has devalued me, therefore I'm unworthy. And it's evoking the feelings of the past of you going to, daycare for the first time and being abandoned. And this is pushing us to trust because of how someone makes us feel in the moment. And we can feel either excitement or validation, connection, or disconnection, invalidation. So the negative feelings that we feel are ego-generated illusions designed to fulfill unmet needs like approval, belonging, or significance, but they keep us chasing something that we can never get through this negative frequency of energy. We have to change. Sadness does not beget joy. Sadness begets sadness. Animosity begets animosity. Unworthiness begets unworthiness. So here we're trying to we feel sad and insecure, and we want security and we want joy, but we're going about it the wrong way by appealing to our egos and saying, I want joy, I want happiness, I don't want to be sad anymore. Well, you're just begetting sadness. Wanting is begetting more of what you're trying to get out of. You want happiness and joy, but you're evoking the feeling of sadness and melancholy, and you're telling yourself, I want joy, I want happiness, but you're sad and you're full of, negativity. You're not going to get yourself out of anything by talking about it. You have to change the frequency. You have to change your emotion. Hello, Cynthia. Nice to see you. Hello, Akshay. How you doing? Nice to see you. So our ego has taught us to trust it through being consistent over time. That's how trust is earned, or trust is gained, through consistency. Consistency reveals character, and character is what stands when charm fades, words fail, and circumstances shift. And the ego resists this slower, more grounded process because it thrives on instant gratification. So the ego resists the slower process of looking at someone's behavior, looking at situations and just weighing them out and just letting things, work. Like, if you see a situation, you just stand back and observe it and wait until it's done and then make your assessment. Ego doesn't like that. Ego doesn't want you doing that, because that's not what keeps the egoic nature going. The egoic nature is the narcissistic nature, where got to do it now to prevent us from finding out the truth. That's why we're gaslit. That's why we're love bombed, because the ego the narcissist has to get in there really quickly and convince us that they are the best thing for us, so that we don't stand back and observe and just wait and see it out and see what happens and make our determination from observation. So it's the spirit that says, watch how they move. Then you will know. By their fruit, you will know them. So the practice is this: when your feelings tell you someone is safe, pause and observe their patterns. When your ego is telling you that this is safe to feel sadness, safe to feel unworthiness, no. But when your ego has you just automatically go to those feelings, take a pause and observe. Observe, stand back and observe. How did this situation play out? Oh, you'll see the spiritual negative fruit all over the situation. You'll see it. See, God operates in peace. The ego operates in fear. So trust what you see that is proven repeatedly. Don't just take it on your emotions. Oh, I feel this way, so that person is bad. No, sometimes people trigger us. They're not doing it on purpose. Sometimes people are just living their lives blinded to the fact that they are impacting us in some way. It's nothing malicious. They're just living their lives. We are responsible for our feelings. We're responsible for our own feelings when we're in somebody's company, someone else's company, or in the company of our own. So you can't really see other people's patterns until you start seeing your own patterns. What's your spiritual fruit? Most often, our spiritual fruit is negativity. It's rooted in ego. So trust what you see that is proven repeatedly. By their actions, you will know them. The way they conduct themselves, you'll know whether somebody is a liar or not. You'll know whether someone is, untrustworthy or not. You'll eventually see it. And more importantly, look at your own spiritual fruit, the spiritual fruit of the ego. When you take a look at those, see, thoughts evoke feelings. So take a look at those thoughts that you're thinking. Are you thinking about like positive goals for yourself? Or are you focused on what could happen, what may happen, what may not happen in the form of doom and gloom? Are you in your negative thinking patterns and those negative emotional patterns more often than you're not? You've got spiritual fruit that's hanging too, and that spiritual fruit is attracting people to pluck that fruit from you. So if you're negative, the people are going to pluck that negative fruit hanging from you. And that's going to be a stumbling block to other people. Especially if it's somebody who's thirsty and hungry for God and they see that fruit, but it's superficial fruit and they bite into it. It's going to be a stumbling block. So the ego is the negative characteristics of the enemy, and so it naturally distorts how we see others because we're looking at other people with the filter of the ego, which is judgment. And it also sees or distorts how we see ourselves. We see ourselves through judgment. Hello, Mr. Gentleman, how you doing? So the ego convinces us that our feelings are truth, that because we feel confident, we must be capable. Because we feel afraid, then we must be in danger. Because we feel love, we must be in love. You can't be in love. You already are love. You are already love, unconditional, manifested. You can't be anything else. But your ego tricks you into saying, yeah, you're not love. You're not loved by God. You're this way. You're that way. Get rid of this. Well, we can't get rid of ego on our own. It's impossible. We can look at the ego to see how it operates and how we've unknowingly catered to it. Excuse me. Ego hijacks our reality. It hijacks our inner guidance system and redirects it towards itself. So it's using our awareness and filtering that awareness through the egoic nature. And it's whispering to us, you feel it, so it must be true. You're the source of this. No, we're just observers. That's it. We're observing things. And we get to choose the experience through the feelings that we allow ourselves to express. And this is what keeps us tethered to the illusion. It makes the self the center, cutting off the awareness that true being, that the true being flows from the spirit of love. So in truth, the feelings are not proof of who we are. But the ego makes us or leads us to believe that because we feel a certain way, that must mean we are. The truth is, feelings are signals of what the ego or the spirit is influencing in that moment. And we get to choose. We get to give that situation or that person meaning. See, the ego uses emotion as bait to keep us reactive and self-focused, while spirit uses awareness to draw us back into presence, where emotion becomes information, not identity. When we feel deeply, the key question isn't, how do I feel? But where is this feeling coming from? If it comes from the ego, it will demand validation. It's going to demand urgency, or it's going to demand proof. When it's from the spirit, it will carry peace, clarity, and humility, even in discomfort. So the ego gets us to trust it by impressing itself on us, by impersonating our source. It pretends to be us. The ego is what Revelation would talk about, the beast. And we become the false prophet, and the beast gives its authority to us. Interesting. And the ego pretends to be us, making its voice sound like intuition. Its emotions feels like truth, and its reactions feel like wisdom. But the only thing is that ego is doing this not because it loves us, not because it cares, because it wants to live. And it's only through conscious awareness can we then separate its counterfeit signal from the authentic vibration of the spirit. So when we begin to detach ourselves from ego, we begin to walk closer to God. There's only two ways to live: in freedom through Christ, or in bondage through the ego. The ego feeds on trauma-inducing events because they generate the emotional energy that the ego needs to stay relevant. The ego isn't built on peace. It's built on disturbance. It identifies itself through pain, through the story of what happened to me. When trauma occurs, rejection, betrayal, humiliation, abandonment happens, and the ego rushes in to claim ownership of the experience. It says, see, this is who you are now. You're the one who is hurt. No. I am not the one that was hurt. The individual in the past, who I am no longer, that person was hurt. And same with you. You're different now. You've evolved. And this is why trauma feels so sticky. The ego fuses itself to the wound. It turns a single moment of pain into a lifelong identity because pain gives it power and survival. Ego can't survive on neutrality. It can't survive on gratitude or grace. So it seeks out or replays anything that can reignite that emotional charge. Hey Dreams, how you doing? So the ego doesn't just react to trauma. It's attracted to it. It looks for chaos because chaos reaffirms its existence. See, every argument, every rejection, every injustice is egoic fuel. It's why people unconsciously recreate similar painful situations over and over. We call it self-sabotage. It's not because they want to suffer, but because the ego is addicted to the energy. It's addicted to the energy that the suffering releases in us. And we unknowingly give it that free pass to do what it wants to us. Now, spirit, on the other hand, is drawn to peaceful truth. It doesn't need to replay pain to prove identity. Spirit just is. And when you begin to detach, we say heal, but when you begin to detach from the ego and stop feeding the ego those trauma loops, you'll notice resistance rise. You'll see the boredom from the ego. You'll see the anxiety. You'll see the self-bondage and the self-sabotage. But that's only ego starving. And it's going to try to provoke new drama to get its fix because we know ego is the junkie, right? So make the shift. It's about recognizing that you are not the emotion. You absolutely are not. The emotions are separate from you. You are the awareness behind the emotion. And you don't need trauma to feel alive. You need presence to feel real. That's it. And once you no longer resonate with the chaos, the ego's pull weakens. You start attracting peace instead of pain. And that's when the ego begins to dissolve, because it's not you dissolving it. It's the light in you that you are submitting to that dissolves the egoic nature. So self-awareness is not just about noticing your thoughts. It's about seeing who is doing the noticing. It's the awakening of the true self, the quiet observer behind the noise, and the gradual dethroning of the ego as the ruler of your inner world. So here's how to cultivate peace. Here's how to disengage the ego in a way that is deeply spiritual, but also powerfully practical. Hello, official. How you doing? Nice to see you. So, number one, slow down the inner dialogue. The ego survives on speed. Got to do it now. Got to express and got to feel these feelings now. Got to deal with it now. Got to deal with sadness now. Got to deal with this anger now. Now. It needs constant chatter. It needs the judgment. It needs the mental activity. Shut it off. The moment you slow down, you begin to see it. So try this several times a day. Stop and take one conscious breath. And watch what your mind was just saying. Don't argue with it. Don't make a dialogue. Just notice. And there's a pause in your higher awareness. This is taking the light in you is taking the driver's seat, even if it's just for a moment. So number two, name the voice. When you hear a thought that stirs emotion, the negative emotion, the fear, the jealousy, the comparison, the guilt, name it gently. That's ego. That's not me. That's ego. The moment you name it, you create distance between you and it. And you'll begin to recognize its tone. It's reactive, it's urgent, and always self-referencing. Awareness doesn't sound like that. Awareness is neutral. It's kind, and it's calm, deeply calm. And number three, feel without fusing. See, emotions are where most people lose themselves. When a feeling rises, the ego says, this is me, deal with me, this is it. Well, instead, observe this like the weather and just say, you know what? I feel angry, but I'm not anger. And I'm just going to let anger pass through without expressing it. Or sadness is visiting again. Okay, I'm okay. I am okay. I am okay. This allows the emotion to move instead of root in you. It moves through you. It passes by. Just like how energy is absorbed by the walls and the ceiling and the floor, energy is absorbed by things. Well, you don't absorb this energy, you just let it pass through you. Number four, listen to your body. Stop ignoring it. The body keeps score long before the mind will admit it. So the tension, the tightness, the heaviness in your shoulders, maybe you've got some nausea or lightheadedness going on. Make notice of those signs. That could be the egoic energy activating in your body, preparing your body for hypervigilance. Awareness begins when you start decoding the body's language instead of ignoring it. Ask, what story am I believing that's creating this feeling? The answer usually exposes the ego's lie. And number five, choose observation over reaction. The moment between trigger and reaction, the space in between that, that's a sacred space. That's pause. Even if it's just half a second, it's where you reclaim your power. Reacting feeds the ego. Observing starves it. So when someone provokes you, breathe and just watch. Watch your internal movement before responding. Watch the other person's actions. Watch their reactions. Observe them. Don't respond to them. And this practice alone can transform your life. It's called detachment. Psychologists call it going gray rock, but it's more than that. It's actually doing the work, like being observant and detaching your feelings from somebody or from your ego that doesn't serve you. And this is how nobody can actually hurt you. People can, if you are detached from somebody, somebody can call you names, every name under the sun. If they're a stranger and they start throwing, these egoic insults at you, and you can just say, you know what, it doesn't bother me. I don't know you. You don't know me, so what you're saying to me doesn't make sense. And that is the ego. The ego doesn't know you. The ego is just filtering awareness and calling it you. You are not the ego. You are awareness. And that awareness can either be attached to ego or God. And if you are not your ego, you are one with God. And that is exactly who God says you are. Your awareness is not separate. It's not a separate being. It's either attached to ego or it's attached to God. You get to choose. So the character of God is everything that the egoic nature is not. God is peaceful, loving, joyful, kind, compassionate, patient, keeps no record of wrongs. There's no judgment there. So 6, invite spirit into awareness. Self-awareness without spirit can turn into self-criticism because it's going to take you back right to ego. You don't want to leave yourself in a state of neutrality, because that's what Jesus talks about. When you're in the state of a neutrality, if the evil egoic nature leaves and you sweep your house clean, but you don't occupy it with God and you remain neutral, well, the egoic nature is going to come back with 7 more egoic natures stronger than it. So if fear leaves you and you don't replace that fear with godly love, then what's going to happen is this fear is going to come back and say, I'm gonna bring along jealousy. I'm gonna bring along, feeling unworthiness. I'm gonna bring abandonment. I'm gonna bring in all these other evil spirits, and we're going to inhabit your house, and we're going to take hold, and you're going to call it us, and you're going to identify with us, and you're going to be none the wiser. And if you want to get rid of us, well, it's going to be really hard to get rid of us. It is. You have to take a look at every individual fear-based egoic feeling that you can recognize. You got to take a look at the animosity, the jealousy, the covetousness, the gluttony, the greed, the sloth, the ambivalence, the judgment. You got to look at it all. So invite divine presence into your observation. God, I ask you to come and cleanse me, heal me. I wanted, like today I said to God, I said, God, I want to be unloving like you, or excuse me, unconditionally loving like you. I want to be unconditionally loving like you. And I started, I love that you're loving, you're so kind, you're so giving, you're so, like, I just want to be like you. And you know what God said? He said, wanting implies lack. You don't lack me. I am in you. I am with you. Stop telling yourself that you don't have me. You are love. Just exercise it. Put it into practice. Make me your own. That's what it is to put God into practice, is what it means to marry ourselves with God. If we remain in Jesus and Jesus remain in us, anything we ask for, we shall receive. We're not receiving because we're still thinking we don't have unconditional love, that's not who we are. We're still identifying ourselves with ego. You are unconditional love. Tell yourself that. Make that, your silent witness in your head. Instead of ruminating on those negative things, I'm a loser, I can't do this, I'll never get this, I'll never pass this test, I'll never do this, I'll never get the girl, I'll never get the guy. Stop focusing on that and start telling yourself, I am unconditionally loved. I am unconditional love. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am God's child. So, fruit fly, awareness, when awareness becomes your compassion, not condemnation. Your awareness, when you choose to filter your awareness through God, there is no condemnation. You are saved by grace. Automatically, you always have been. But now you start to feel it. You start to know it. You start to think it. You start to act it. And when you start to act it, that's when miracles happen. To serve, protect, and defend. You're partnering with God to live heaven on earth. And number 7, reflect daily before you end your day. Reflect. Don't do this before you go to sleep because you don't want to reflect on the negative, but just give yourself some time to journal or think. Reflect before you get into bed and scan your day gently and ask, where did my ego lead me? Where did I act from love? What did I learn about my patterns? This isn't about guilt, it's about growth. Every insight adds to your awakening. And if you find that you're in this neutral state, recognize it and just embody love. Love is not a feeling, it's a state of being. Just give yourself a vibe check that, yeah, I'm grateful for what I have. Yes, I am walking in love. I'm not judging anything. I'm not judging myself. I'm not judging anything. And I'm joyful. Now, self-awareness grows through consistent observation and action. You got to develop that spiritual fruit. Hey, Dama, how you doing? This is not about controlling the mind. It's about seeing it until its grip softens. You've got to change your mind. You've got to take control of those thoughts that are disobedient to God and make your thoughts obedient to God. But it's about observing those thoughts so that you can say, I don't want to think those thoughts. I want to think on good thoughts. Because the more you observe what you're thinking, you then can observe what you're feeling, because those thoughts evoke good feelings or bad feelings. So eventually your awareness becomes your resting state. It's not an effort, it's just a way of being. And that's when the false self falls away and your divine essence begins to lead naturally. So I hope this has helped you to understand that you are not your ego. You are God's son, you are God's daughter, and you were bought with the blood of Jesus. You were there present with Jesus. He died for you, and he called you his child. God made you his child. That's why you're here. You're here to end the generational curse. So I want to say thank you for watching this video. Thank you for hanging out with me for this hour. I love you and welcome to the family. For those of you who are new to this channel, please remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, because we are here twice a day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and 10 o'clock in the evening. And we are here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sundays for a deep dive Bible study. So I look forward to seeing you guys tonight. And I am a peer support mentor. So what that means is I am here to help you. You know, if you guys want to make an appointment with me and talk with me for an hour, we can sort out what's going on and how to deal with the problems that are at hand for you. We'll work out a goal, and we'll set a goal for you and give you a new perspective on things to help you lighten the load a little bit, so that you can walk through your day feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit more at ease. That's what I'm here for. So the link is in the description to make your appointment, or you can just talk with me, share your comments, questions, and suggestions by scooting me off an email, shannongilmore@protonmail.com. And this channel here is here for you twice a day. And if you haven't taken a look at the videos, may I encourage you, because yesterday's lives, our lives, like every single day, every live is brand new, and they are freaking awesome. They are so awesome. Get in on the transcript. If you don't want to go through the hour-long watch or sometimes 2 hours, just click on the transcript, copy and paste it. If you got your computer handy, then copy and paste it to your Word document and print it out and take notes. This channel is here for you to learn from. So, you know, take advantage of the videos here on this channel. And if you like what you see, may I ask you to please consider donating to this channel, as your donations help to keep us here twice a day, because this is what I do. I'm here to help you, and this channel is a ministry and it's growing. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your donations. And thank you for helping yourself, letting God help you. You know, you guys are doing it. And I want to leave you with this, that there is no challenge that God cannot overcome. And Jesus called us to become overcomers, so you can do all things in Christ Jesus, who is your strength. I love you. See you tonight. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.